Welcome to 2026 Saturday Sampler. This is our 25th year doing a Saturday Sampler, and I must say I am just about as excited over this year as I have been any other year that we've done it. We are going to be doing curve piecing all year, and I know a lot of you probably have shied away from curve piecing thinking it's too tough, it's too difficult. But after this year, you're going to be experts at doing curve piecing. So to get started, we need to have the tools of the trade that you're going to need this year. Some of these are optional, but I use them all. So there is no optional for me, but some of these things will be optional for you. So one of the things you might need is a good marking tool. I like the blue line markers. They're easy to add water to and make your lines go away if you need to. But some kind of a marking tool. Some of you will feel the need to mark your curves, and this is a good tool to use. Another thing that you might consider that you might not have in your stash right now is an 18mm rotary cutter, or 28mm, I'm sorry. Normally you're cutting with a 45mm or a 60mm, much bigger blade. To do the tight curves that we're going to do this year, this 28mm will cut the curves much easier. And you'll use it in every block, and you'll use it in the setting. So I would suggest getting a 28mm rotary cutter. Then you need a good pair of snips, and when I say good, I mean sharp. So on this, your cutters need to be able to cut 1/8 of an inch in on the tips of your blades. So if you see me cutting this, see how I've made those little snips 1/8 of an inch in? It might be hard to see on the camera. I'll stick my finger under there. Maybe you can see it better, maybe not. But anyway, some of you will feel the need to snip your curves, and you need a very sharp pair of snips to do it. They can be scissors, as long as you can get right to the edge of your scissors and make little snips like that, so that you have these little snips in about 1/8 of an inch. So a good pair of snips. Then you will, it's almost a necessity with curve piecing to have a good set of tweezers. And you want to get the long handle tweezers that are bent at the end like this. And there's all kinds of tweezers out on the market, and of course we sell all kinds of tweezers at the shop. But these are ones, they don't have to be real fancy, expensive tweezers, but just bent at the end, and that can hold the two pieces together as you're sewing and pull on the one that you might need to pull out to get a good 1/4 inch. But a set of tweezers with curve piecing is almost a necessity. You could also use a tailor's awl. This is an optional piece. This will hold the two pieces together where your finger is really too fat to hold onto the fabric much as it goes under the foot, but your tailor's awl will hold it as it goes under the foot much easier. So this is a nice optional tool to have also. And then another must, and I'm going to really stress them this year. I stress them every year, but a really must is your silk pins. And you need very fine silk pins. And you want them with they have the head on them, so you can easily pull them out of the fabric without sewing over them. And you want shorter ones rather than longer ones, because we're dealing with 3-inch drunken paths this year. And we sell silk pins. The difference in my two that I have here, and I think you might be able to see on camera, you might not be able to see, but the yellow one is a little thinner than the blue one. They're both silk pins. They both work great. They're both, you can glass head tops so that you can press the iron over them and not destroy the top of the pin. The big yellow quilter's pins are plastic heads, so if an iron touches them, it melts the plastic, but these are glass heads, so they don't melt. I like the blue and white ones. They come blue and white in the package. because I can see them when they fall on the floor. The yellow and light blue, the other color that comes with this yellow one is a light blue. When they fall, sometimes I can't see them as easily, but they both are excellent pens. If you want the finest ones, get the yellow and blue ones. If you want a little bigger one, it's the blue and red. And we sell both of them at the shop, so you don't have to go anywhere else to look for them. And I don't want to hear you come in the shop and say, I can't find those pens. Well, we have them at the shop for you. The silk pens are a must for this curve piecing. You cannot get by with your thicker pens that some of you have used for years. Those yellow head pens that they call quilter's pens, I call them quilter's nails. You want a very fine pen for this kind of work. Then with block 1, we are doing a special on the templates, the Drunkard's Path templates from Block Lock. This set has 3 different rulers in them. It has the L-shape ruler. Sometimes they call this the Alamode shape. It has the pie shape ruler, and these are your 2 cutting rulers to cut your shapes. And then it has the final ruler that locks onto the curve and trims everything to a perfect 3.5. So it's a 3-piece set, and originally these are selling for $54.99, and with block 1 we are offering block 1, which is $6, plus a set of these for $38. So you get block 1 and these for $38. So that comes out to be $32 for a $54 set of rulers. So it's a really good deal. I can't stress enough how these will make your life easier. You'll use them with every block, and you'll use them in the setting. You'll use them over and over and over again. So treat yourself this year and get these to start with. Then the last 2 things. When you're cutting these shapes, it's nice to have a rotating mat. It's not a necessity. You can cut these shapes without them, but it makes it easier to cut if you can just rotate the mat around after you cut the curve and then cut the other straight side. So I'll be demonstrating the rotary mat and how easy it makes. But you do need a rotary cutting mat. And then last but not least, something you have in your stash, you'll need a piece of scrap to start sewing on and sewing off when you sew. And this can be any piece of scrap, but you need scrap because the angle that we're starting to sew on can be a little bit tricky under the needle. So if you start on a piece of scrap, it's going to make your life a lot easier to start sewing with this and then end sewing off of this. So those are the tools that you're going to need to get started with. So on the cutting of these squares, we're going to start with the L shape first. Your directions has said to cut 8 5-inch squares, and from each 5-inch square we are going to get one of each of the 2 shapes cut. So I'm going to start with the L shape one. I'm going to put it right into the corner. I'm going to set my hand tight, and I have having a little trouble because I broke this finger a couple of months ago and it still won't let me put a lot of pressure on it. So I'm probably not going to get real good cuts initially, but you understand what we're doing. I like to cut the side and then cut around the curve. And if you're trying to use a big 60mm cutter, it's not going to cut for you. You need a smaller cutter. The 28 is perfect for this year. And then you can pull these aside. And that's pretty normal where these 2 corners are, that you leave a thread hanging. So there I have my L shape. That's called the L shape. And now I'm going to cut my pie. It looks like a piece of pie. Turn my mat around so that I have the 2 straight edges right in the corner of that 5-inch square. And then set my hand nice and tight and cut around. Now the first few that you cut, I wanted to cut a few for you because you're going to see how much extra scrap we gave you. I don't want you to worry that you're not going to have enough, because when these get put back together again into that 5-inch square, what's in the middle is scrap. So you have plenty of fabric. You don't have to worry that you're going to not have enough. You have plenty to cut these pieces out of. So there's one L and one pie. And there's my scrap. The scrap just throws away. Now if you're brand new to this and kind of new to quilting, I applaud you for taking a curve piecing, because you're going to be such a good quilter at the end of this year. But you might want to mark the first 2 or 3 that you cut till you get used to cutting the shape, especially if you're a new cutter. So this is when your marking tool will come into play. So I'm going to mark my L shape, and I am turning my pen towards the ruler so that I mark in towards the ruler, not away from the ruler, and mark those shapes. And I'm going to go back and make this a little darker because I got dark fabric here. I want to make sure that you can see it on camera, so I'm going to really exaggerate. And let me see. I'm not sure you can see that even with me marking it really tight. I'm going to bring it up. See the marks on there? So not using that, you use the template just to do the marking. Take your rotary cutter and very slowly cut on your lines. And you can slowly turn your mat if you have a rotating mat. It's one of the nice reasons for having a rotating mat to do this. And cut as you turn the mat. So there I marked it, and I have the shape. And I can do the same thing for the pie. So I turn this over, put my pie straight edges in the corner of that square, and then mark that curve. And then cut. Take your time cutting, because you're not cutting with a ruler at this point. Some of you might prefer to do every block this way, but you can do it either way. So here I have the same cuts out of my 5-inch square by marking first and then just cutting and using your rotary cutting on the line. So that's 2 different ways to cut these shapes. And then the last thing I want to show you is I've been playing around with these shapes, and what I've learned is that I've already cut this one, that you can double up. So when you cut your strips, the fabric's doubled up. You can cut 2 squares at one time and be accurate enough for what, if you're using the block lock rulers. So I have I've already cut the L shape out of this one. So I have 2 pieces here lined up on top of each other. I'm going to put my pie in the corner, set my hand nice and tight, and as tight as I can with that finger, and then cut around. And I've got 2 pieces. So you can double up and cut 2 at a time. That will make your cuts even faster. So here I have, from each square, I have an L shape and a pie shape. And then I have that in the opposite ones with the light and dark. This year I'm going to be doing the browns, so all my videos are going to be with brown, but if you're doing the blue quilt, it's the same way. Alright, now we're ready to get it prepared to sew, and we are going to sew a light to a dark. Take it to your ironing board, press this in half, and find the center. Press the center. Do the same thing for your L shape. Press it in half, and that marks the center of both pieces. And then right sides together. Put the 2 folds together, right sides together, and right up to the edge, and then put a pin in there. Now right away you're going to go, oh my gosh, how am I going to sew this seam to that seam? Well, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. And if you YouTube it, there's, I don't know how many, tens and tens of videos on sewing curved edges. One of the ones I found the easiest is by Shelley Fitzgerald, and it's called Sew Shelley Sews. And in your additional notes that we gave you in block 1, it has her website, and she shows how to do this with just 2 pins. Today I'm going to show you several different ways, but I really highly recommend, if you get stuck or if you're having trouble, go back and watch Shelley's video, because she does an excellent job in showing you how to do this. But the first thing you want to do is find your centers, and then you're going to bring this left edge around, and at first they don't line up. So you're going to have to kind of play with your fabric till you get a nice corner right here. And once you get that, put a pin in there to hold it so that it makes a corner like that. And yes, you're going to have extra fabric. That's the nature of a curve, but it's going to work out just great. Now I like to go ahead and bring my right side over and do the same thing with the right side. So I use 3 pins. So I make sure I get them matching at this corner up here. You have just a little bit. If you put corner to corner, you're going to notice that there's not, the brown is going straight, but this is going catty-squonkle. So you have to bring your light over so that you get a good corner. And for 1/4 of an inch, you'll get a good corner. And then I put my pin in there. Now I like to put my pins, because I'm a right-handed sewer, I like to have my pins hanging off the curved edge. If you're left-handed, you might like the heads of your pins on the left side, because you probably pull with your left hand. I pull with my right hand, so I have them hanging off. And so there is my curved edge. And for me, this is what I would take it to the sewing machine and sew. And if you look, if I pull in this ever so gently, that seam just lays flat. Now if you're new at this, you might want to take this one step further. So matching the centers, actually I haven't pressed this yet, so I'm going to finger press this, which is a good way of finding the centers. And just did that with my thumb, found the center. I gotta make sure I have to make sure in this background fabric that I'm using the right side, because it has a little bit of print, but one side's just a little bit darker. So my right side's together, and I'm going to put my, oh, I don't have another pin. Take one of these pins, put it in there. Now, for some of you that are just really stewing over this, what you can do at this point, and you can do it before you pin it, but take your snips, let me make sure I'm in the camera. Take your snips and only 1/8 of an inch in. You don't want to go all the way in. You don't want to snip into your 1/4 inch seam. But that's why I said you have to have really sharp little scissors for this, and snip along that curved edge. I'm going to take these apart just so you can kind of see what I'm doing, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the L shape. I'm only going in about 1/8 of an inch. I do not want to go in the full 1/4 inch, because that will unravel into my quilt at a later date, and I don't want to do it. I don't want it to happen. So when I snip, look what happens to that edge. I can straighten it out. So now I'll match up my centers again. Put my pin in there, and this time when I bring it around, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to find that corner, get those squares off. I'm going to find that corner and put a pin in there, and pin it. And do the same thing on this other side. Making my corner match up for about 1/4 inch both directions, and put a pin in there to hold it secure. And then some of you will find that clipping what clipping does, it makes that L shape stretch out to where it lays almost flat. So you can do it that way. So you have Shelley's method with 2 pins if you watch her show. You have my method with 3 pins. You have the snipping method to make it lay straight. Or for those of you that just love the pin, you can put more, you have my permission to use as many pins as you want to get this to lay flat. And if you look at this with all the pins in it, see how flat? You can get your sewing machine on this and just zip, 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 zip all the way around. So once you have them sewn, decide on which way you want to pin. And once you have them sewn, they're going to come off of your sewing machine like this. This is normal. I have a couple of them done here. But when you look at it, it lays nice and flat. Now you're going to notice that sometimes when it comes off, you're going to see, and I hope you can see this, you're going to see wrinkles. See this wrinkle? That's normal because you, in the process of sewing, these, your foot is creating a wrinkle on it. You're not sewing through the wrinkle, but the wrinkles occur, but don't worry about those because all those wrinkles are going to press out when you get to the ironing board. So don't worry about the wrinkles. Don't stitch a pleat into it, but you will have some wrinkles on them. Oh, look at that. I did that one backwards. I have to take that one out. It's not hard to do with this tan fabric because it's so close. Now I have a couple that I've already finished, and sometimes, most of the time, you're going to press towards the L. And you don't even have to snip these curves if you don't want to. They will press and lay just flat as pancake. So you're going to press towards the L. And then with your third piece of your ruler set, this is going to lock in right here. And then see, so you see we've oversized these, and you see how much extra I have all the way around. Now this is when the rotating mat is really super easy to use. I just flip it around and get all 4 sides, and there I have a perfect drunkard's path. I'll do that again. See how much extra I have on there? It locks into, on this ruler, it locks into the bottom half. You put the word block lock in your pie and center it in the pie, and then you trim. And you have 2 perfect ones. So once you made your 16 individual drunkard's path, you're going to start with the top row and sew it together. I like to sew the 2 left ones together and then the 2 right ones together and then join them in the center, and that would be your top row. And then you can see I've already done row 2, and you're going to sew row 1 to row 2, and I've done the bottom 3 and 4, and once you have them all sewn together, you'll have your block 1. I hope you are enjoying curve piecing.